Spent my childhood watching Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant win 11 championships with the triangle offense. But it wasn't the offense, it was their play. They spent a lot of time doing post moves and building up an unguardable play style. 2026, this isn't the main focus in most of NBA and on 2K. But today I want to kind of share with you guys the type of build that can do it all, from ISO, pick and rolls, and the post-up game, playing mind games with these players, because you can score from everywhere. Shooting half-court shots in people's faces, you can get to the rack, you can basically do anything that you feel is such a big threat. Kind of like Stephen Curry once he gets half court, but even worse because you have everything at your disposal. NBA 2K allows people to make the kind of builds that are just absolutely outrageous, and this is one of them. And I want to share with you not only the build, but the mindset for it. I've taught a lot of people, a lot of kids for tournaments and leagues and helping them get better for esports side of NBA 2K when it comes to just systems. And most of the time I'm spending a lot of time teaching them on offense, pick and roll, but also ISO. And I don't really teach the post game as much because it's not as prevalent in these tournaments and leagues. But I do teach a few things to get people familiar so they can add it into their game. Every once in a while, you'll need it. But the truth is, you can create a whole playstyle with it and be very effective, especially if you are willing to take that and add everything else, whether it's dribbles, pick and roll game, or anything that basketball has to offer. Basketball to me is an art form. It is one of the best expressions of sports that we've ever seen. 2K is also the premium game that allows you to have great dribbles, great moves, and overall take the game to the next level. And so while this video is going to showcase two builds, it's also going to discuss the importance of understanding the game fully and taking the time. So the goal is to help you want to make a build like this. And I know the cycle is almost over. We're in season 8. So maybe you don't want to make this today, but the next time you do make a build, maybe for 2K27, this could be one that you'll add something close to this. And to be honest, it really doesn't have a lot of weaknesses on it. There's 2 versions that I would recommend, but yeah, it's pretty insane. So with all that being said, the highlights you've been watching are the first 3 days of me having this build. I literally just made it a few days ago, and I played every day for multiple hours on every mode, whether it was Proving Grounds, the Rec, the Theater, and more, and dominated every single time. Something about the build that gravitates to players once they see I can spark from anywhere, and then off defensively, it still can help a lot. So let's go ahead and explore this build. First thing I'm going to mention is please know that cap breakers and different things are very key. So what you're going to see isn't the final product until you see it all. Right. I'm going to showcase parts of it and then take you to the builds because there's multiple versions. Okay. And then we'll get into it and dive deep down a rabbit hole. Hopefully you enjoy some of those highlights as well. Having fun. Just saw some people up. Here we go. All right. So this, my friends, is the template. You want to have a small forward. You can actually make this in the power forward position if you wanted, but I like it at small forward so that you can get guarded by smaller players and just shoot over them and things like that. But at small forward, 6'9", 202 with a 6'9 wingspan is the ultimate goal. These are the attributes, but there's going to be cap breakers that turn that post control into a 95. It goes from 72 to 95 on that, as well as other attributes that buff up different things. And we'll talk about all of that. But this is the build that you watched just now. But I want to take you to the secondary build that is for the tournament players. This can be a very good, fun one that's going to contribute a little bit more defensively. And we'll talk about why in a second. But the difference is the weight and the wingspan, as you can see, 213 and then 7'1" for wingspan. Then this is the numbers. As you can see, the steals are much higher at an 85, so that you're going to be able to contribute. Let's say you play the power forward or something, or small forward. I wouldn't recommend this as the primary play style for anybody. I like lockdowns and I prefer big, heavy duty defense power forwards, but this is way more than enough to play solidly. Unless you're playing for big money, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, this can definitely help you in those smaller tournaments. And the cap breakers are a big part of this one as well. So just keep that in mind. We go showcase what this build has to offer as we continue. All right. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys are locked into that, because a lot of times people confuse these things as we go forward. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the actual build so you can see the one that I've made and the one you've been watching highlights for right here. So it is outrageously good. We're going to start off with the weakness, because this is the only weakness that this has. Okay. And that is steals. All right. 44 steals, the worst in the game. You do not want to have this on a competitive, I'm going to play for a tournament, but it can still be viable because I'm getting endless of blocks. I'm still getting steals. You watching the highlights, still get bump steals easily because I have decent perimeter and very good strength. So those two things combined really help for steals, if you didn't know. The other version has an 85 steal, so that way you can spam some steals and really go crazy. With this build, the weakness is that you don't want to try to get interceptions as often. You want to focus on bump steals. You're going to get steals. Other than that, this build is outrageous and is super powerful. Close shot at a 92. This is the threshold that I think is best. Layups, actually, I can drop this down to an 80. You don't really need it this high. I can hit at a pretty good rate with an 80. And then drive and dunk for the contact dunks, super critical. Standing dunk is natural. It's going to go up that high with all the other attributes you put up, but 40 is all you really need. And then this, as I told you guys, as you see, the cap breakers brought it up to 95. It was at 72. This is something you can do on your build as well to get the high numbers. Now, I want to mention one thing. If you've seen the secondary build, it had lower 3-pointers and mid-range because you don't need all this. This is exaggerated, but basically I wanted to shoot from half court, 3-point shots. So I put this up pretty high. And then I put mid-range shots high as well, because I want to take a lot of fades and just kind of be toxic. This build isn't just for post play. This is, I can ISO you and just do fades all the game from the 3 and just be a little toxic, as you saw in the gameplay highlights. And that's kind of what's happening. Now I have 3 cap breakers. I can put it on free throws to get this higher. I can put up other things if I really wanted to, but I'll tell you this, pass, all you need is a 70 for it to be a really decent passer. Like, you can have this low at a 40 and still pass when you need to if you're not the point guard or the center. But with a 70, you can still be a point guard on 2s or 3s and run it if you want. And then for a ball handle, an 80 is way more than enough. You saw in my video, I was basically crossing people up. I didn't have to post people up. I could just face them up and just ISO them and cook them up. So that's what's that. People will tell you speed with ball is really bad at a 68, but it's not, because you do get lightning launch. You can max +2 it if you wanted to, or you can put the takeover to have speed with ball and you'll be able to cook with this. And that's what I do when I'm ISOing. If I'm not ISOing and I got a real point guard, I don't put speed with ball on my builds. I have different versions. For example, takeovers, this is for when I'm ISOing. See how it says speed with ball. And then I have defense and different versions depending on what mode I'm playing. Maybe I'll put rebounds if I'm going to be the center for threes or something like that. And that's why this is okay, because like I said, you'll be fine. Now, the biggest secret for defense, and that I've studied this game enough to confirm, 70 interior and 84 block is the best threshold. As long as you have a 78 vertical, this is the best threshold. The strength also helps this, because when you go up to dunk on you or something, you'll be able to shut those things down, and you get a lot of good animations with this threshold. And that's why I have it here. Anything higher is just, a luxury, And then for perimeter, this is the lowest you can go, especially on a 6'9". This works well. I have a 6'8" that I first made on day 1 of the game release, and it had a 74 because I was trying to balance out everything, and I still was clamping up a bit, and I'm like, oh, this could work. And now you're not going to be a lockdown, but your job is to contest shots and stay in front of people, and that's where this build shines. As for steals, as I told y'all, this is the only compromise I had on the build on purpose, because I wanted to be exaggerating for shooting, and that's where I went with it. Then I have a 70 rebound, and the reason for this is if I'm playing 2s or 3s and they're like, make me center, if I'm playing with a random player, I can put on some max +1s and 2s or my takeover to have better rebounds, and I can get that up to the 90s, so that's going to be very useful. And then for agility, 77 is the lowest for any build. So I have point guard builds 6'8" with 77, and I can still clamp up. And if you're watching my footage, you'll see I clamp people up all the time. And this is how this build works. And I don't have any max +1s and 2s right now to really show you the setup, but all shooting, post play for the most part, unless you're going to play a center role, then you can put up your rebounds and have them at a very high rate. You have box out on Hall of Fame, as well as the secondary rebounds very high as well, right? So it's just a matter of what your preference is, how you want to play, what you want to do. For me personally, I don't be rebounding too much as a center. Like, I'm not center most of the games, but if I end up being one when I play 3s, for example, at the event, I was a center. Switched this and turned it all the way up, make sure that we were good in that time period. And those are the kind of things that you want to do. This build is insane, right? And I promise you, like, you'll be surprised on how good it is. It's just toxic all over the place. I'm doing fades, hop shots everywhere without even thinking about it. It's over exaggerated on offense, and that's why I do it. Like, I'll shoot 3-point fades. You know what I mean? Like, I'm unconscious from everywhere, and that's the reason I have it. But I don't recommend that. Like, I would have lowered my shooting, because shooting is too easy this year, let's be honest. And I just wanted to have fun and be extra toxic for at the end of the year and just kind of shooting people. And people have been getting mad at me on the ones courts, like, bro, you zen. I'm like, no, I got 4 misses, but I'm shooting half court shots, brother. And that's where I've been with this build when I do play. It's been a good time to kind of get into the post world, because I grew up watching Jordan and Kobe as my favorites of all time, watching their careers. And so, yeah, as you can see, like, I get a lot of blocks, a lot of good contests. The build can do it all. And I have a really good time, cooking people with this build. And I want to kind of showcase the actual animations, because I'm sure some people want to know what I'm doing. This is my final version of the animations for the most part. I do switch up my animations a lot. It's my way of like making the build variety, right? Like I'll change my escape, I'll change my behind the backs and my step backs to feel different. The reason I use Kawhi is because he doesn't do a regular step back. This is the weirdest step back ever, but this is a crossover first. He does a escape move crossover, and then he goes into the step back. And the reason I do this is because I'll do a couple crossovers and get the person to fall asleep and then do a step back and shoot the shot. And you've seen that in the highlights, which has been pretty crazy. And then for all of this, I don't want to go too deep into it, but the rank just has a good sway to the left and to the right. And it's just really good when you're doing post-up moves and then you face someone up and you drive to the left or the right, and then you go into another post-up sometimes. If they, think you're going to shoot, they start jumping, and it's kind of like a mind game overall. A hop jumper, I only use Paul George because it's pretty basic as far as like straightforward. I've been using so many jumpers all year long. Wild ones, the Klay Thompson to the side, which is pretty strong. The Devin Booker has been my number one, but I'm not really too focused on that. The overall goal is to have fun, try different ones that I don't play as much anymore, and just go forward. But we're not going to talk about dunks because I have videos about all my dunks and layups. They're the ones I've been using. These are my standard, which I also don't want to go through too heavily. Kobe fade and hop jumper is something I've always used, with Devin Booker as another one as well. But these are the main ones I've been using all year, and that's good. And again, if y'all wanted a tutorial guide, we can get into it, but I'm not going to do that right now. As far as my jumper, I don't use Michael Jordan ever because it's a little slower than normal. But when you combine it with my regular jumper, which used to be Quentin Grimes and Luba, I basically have high speed. I'm capable of using Jordan. And it's more of a tribute for him. The jumper's smooth as heck. Look at it. 724 for Jordan. So try that out for yourself. See if you're interested, involved with that, lock in. And then I want to kind of give y'all a rundown on the secondary version of this that I haven't played, but it's basically the same build with very small changes that are going to make it even more viable for a competitive scene if people want you to perform. Honestly speaking, I had top players that I helped teach play defense, play with an 80 steal and win thousands of dollars in tournaments just by using an 80, which I think they're like one of the 1% best players ever. So nobody should do that. But with an 85, you're going to get way more animations. You can intercept better. Your badges are higher. It's the best threshold for steals. But yeah, that's the biggest difference on this build that I'm going to showcase. And remember, this is the one that I would recommend for people to take, as I take this 3-point fade, ridiculous shot. Let's go ahead and talk about it so you can see more or less what I'm doing out here. So best thing I want to talk about is this right here. The 85 steal is way higher. Remember, the last one, that the real one that you see the highlights for, doesn't have this. But I would make this if they're like, yo, I want you to play the 4. And it's like, oh man, I gotta play the 4. I don't even have good attributes on my defense the way I should. Truth is, you want to have higher speed and agility if you're going to be a lockdown. But this is like a contributing player, right? Like we can hide you in a corner somewhere with the point guard. You don't have that much D. We're going to let someone else cook it. And you would need, for example, a shooting guard to play lockdown or something. And then you will be the shooting guard on the team somewhat, basically. But it'll be the small forward version. And then perimeter, all that stuff is pretty much the same. You can get another 70 here with 3 cap breakers, and then all the rest is exactly the same. Besides pass, you would have to put this up if you want to get a little better pass. But you do have free throws, so you can hit jumpers, jump shots and stuff. You're gonna put 5 cap breakers on mid range and post control. It's gonna get you back up there to the right threshold, and then the rest for dunks to get contact dunks, pretty much, and that's it's literally the exact same build for the most part. You're still going to get a 92 post control. And then again, as I said, you're not the main point guard, so you don't need to be going crazy with it. This is more the competitive version, so your pass doesn't need to be that high. You can do this good enough and to have good enough passing to get it out there. Okay. But yeah, this is the one that I really love for the competitive scene. If I was like, hey guys, don't make the one I made. Because a lot of times all these builds I made here, they might be tweaked. It's like my centers all can ISO dribble. You know what I mean? And all these builds have contact dunks in them. All these builds can ISO. And some of them are lockdowns, but I turned them into ISO lockdowns. There's a big difference between me just making a pure lockdown versus somebody who's like, oh, he's like a hybrid. And that's why I made this, because it's like he's the point shooting guard. He's the one that's going to get you a bucket. And you can have the shooting guard be a lockdown 3 and D type of player in the game. And that's kind of the idea. So the shooting guard will be 6'7". It'll have extreme defense, only shoot a little bit of threes, barely get contact dunks, barely dribble, and then have maxed out 99 perimeter and steal and all that good stuff. And yeah, this is the run right here. But yeah, so I want to kind of mention the reason why I love this build and why I recommend people to do this. And this is a long video, but hopefully you've been enjoying kind of sharing thoughts about post action. And the main thing I want to mention here is that, like, I don't make these builds my first 4 or 5 builds because I want to make point guards that are going to run in a tournament, or point guards that I like to play on stream, or a center that I could play on any mode and just kind of be ISOing, or, you know, be sitting in the corner when I need to as a center. All of those things, I have them in my bag. I don't ever just go to the post scoring. So I know what it's like for most people to be like, oh, I want to make a viable build that I can get out there with. But the truth is, if you put, as you can see in this gameplay, I don't post score the whole time, right? There's a lot of games in here where I'm just cooking somebody, shooting half court shots like that one right there. Just a perfect example of why I made this build. Just shooting logo shots and not caring all game long. People are getting upset like, oh man, yo. It's like, yeah. And there you go. And this, for example, this is the Kawhi Leonard step back that I was talking about. This is very critical for you to understand. Look, boom. He thinks I was doing a crossover. I got him to bait, and it's actually the step back. I did not do a crossover. This is the step back that it automatically does a crossover. So that's where the mind game that I was doing, which very, very fun way with Kawhi Leonard. But yeah, so you see, I'm doing everything. I'm not only out here doing post ups. It's like, this ain't a post up only build. You can see, like, I'm toying with this guy. I already got him jumping all over the place from the way I was playing. But it can spark from half court. It's like crazy, 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 crazy. And so I want you to understand that post scoring is going to teach you how to be a better player, because it's a different level of mind games that you're playing. Right? You're going to be manipulating the defense and trying to shut them down in different ways that they haven't seen or been able to understand. And so that's key. So you can see right there, I get a bump steal. Like I told y'all, it doesn't have steal, but you can get steals. You play right. And I put a couple passing examples with a level 70. You can still be really good. And the reason I do all that is to show you, like, you got a good variety, man. And 2K has been a fun year. Relative to what people say about 2K, you know, I had a good time this year, and I will continue to have a good time with the next one that's coming out soon. But yeah, that's the thing. I recommend making one within the couple builds that you make. Let's say you only make 3 a year. Make your point guard, make your center, and then go make a post scorer, or just add post scoring into your bag. It's funny enough, you don't need any post scoring at all. You can still use the post. I have builds with 0 post, 0 strength, and I just go in there and I do a little post up move with a spin and a little drop step or a little step back, all that stuff, and it basically throws people off. So it's definitely doable. All right, that's enough for me for today. Hopefully this video encourages you to enjoy the post scoring and have fun with it. Shout out to everybody who does post score. Let me know what's your thoughts in the comments. Those that don't, how do you feel after watching this, where it's like well-rounded but still capable of doing its thing in the posts? All right, catch y'all on the next one. I got a bunch of videos lined up, so lock in for 2K27. See you on the next one.